Right.
No,
Man.
we used to we used to start in the small town in PA. A buddy of mine would get up at like 10 o'clock from the night before, and then roll out to the bar when it opened up 11 o'clock because they served food, and then it was Jaeger bombs all day, and then
Man.
I think I'd pass out around 4 o'clock or something.
See, I never really did the whole bar scene when I was drinking, but I tell you what, dude, day drinking was just great. I loved day drinking so much. Wake up in the morning, get my orange juice and vodka, get this big fat ass breakfast of hash browns and whatever other greasy shit I could fit into my face hole, and then I would just after that we just I'd play guitar all day and just sit there drinking, smoking fucking packs of cigarettes. Oh, it was so great, dude. The weirdest thing is about with me with drinking. I've been sober for 5 years now, and I
Wow,
quit smoking like 10 years ago. But dude, I think about it almost every day. I still think about drinking.
really?
Like if somebody's like, hey, you know what? Next month the world's gonna blow up. I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna go start drinking again and smoking, and yeah, we'll see you on the other side of this.
Hmm.
I mean, that's not really very positive, but you know, I don't know what it is about drinking, man.
I
It
mean,
just
I definitely had a
gets
lot of
you.
fun drinking over the years. I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
That was my
How long since it been since you had a drink?
almost. I think it's 2 years in February.
Damn.
Bill
Wow,
Spone
2
was on
years
the
already?
show. Bill Spone was on the show. It was the last night I drank.
That's a crazy a tie-in right there.
I remember
Like
I had my last drink was a Guinness.
See,
mm,
I don't. I've never drank enough. Like obviously you drink to have a good time sometimes, but like I don't. Like my doctor's always ask me when I'm there. She's like, "Well, what are you drinking?" I'm like, once, twice a month. Like I don't drink alcohol a lot because I don't
Yeah,
like feeling like
no.
shit the next day.
See,
oh
like when I went
no.
to the doctor and they were asking how many times a week you drank, and I'm
Mhm.
like, I was one of those guys where like, does beer count?
Hmm.
Like like carry the one. You know,
No, see, with me it was all liquor all the time. Like I didn't do beer very much,
Mhm.
and I was drinking just about most days. It was a half a fifth. On a good day, I was doing 3/4 of a fifth of whiskey every day, and I would get home and I would fast all day. I wouldn't eat most of the day, and only because when I would get home, I want that to hit me like instantly, dude. Like I want it now. So I'd go home and I had these big. You ever see those big like neon camping cups? They're like plastic. They're like huge, and I would take one of those and I'd fill it half full of whiskey and then half
Mhm.
full of diet pop, and that was my
Fucking pop.
post work dinner. And I would drink that and I'd be set to go. I'd have dinner and I'd be buzzed. And then I'd have another one of those later on in the night, usually one or two more. And so that was my half a fifth, 3/4 of a fifth of whiskey every day, man. And it was amazing. I got nothing accomplished, but
You, I just realized something. I think the reason why I never really drank a lot is because I was always in fear of losing my job, and I've always been
mm,
a workhorse. Like I've always worked a minimum of fucking 70 hours a week up to 120. So like there was no other time for drinking, right?
and
Except
see,
for when I was actually off.
I used my drinking was partially to like deal with my work, to
yep.
deal with the stress of it and stuff. Like it was more so a function of my life. Like I drank in private. I didn't go out to the bars. I didn't party a lot. Back in the day, I did, but over the last 10 years before I quit drinking, is more or less just me every day at home after work, drinking, watching TV. I used it as a coping mechanism, as most people do, to deal with the stresses of life, work, stresses of just marriage. Everything. It was the crutch that I needed at the time, I guess.
See, I was the same, but what I realized was when you when you start drinking, you're using that as a crutch and using that to feel better. It starts turning into like a spiral. It did for me, where you
Mhm.
start feeling worse because you're drinking too. You know what I mean? Like you're using it to feel better, but then you feel worse.
Yeah, like the next day, you mean?
Yep.
And you're not talking like physically, you're talking mentally,
Uh, both,
both.
Both, yeah. I started feeling bad physically. See, one of the reasons why I stopped was one of my best friends, like a drinking buddy, you know.
Mhm.
Me and him were one of the only guys where like the rest of our friends would drink a little bit and then stop or whatever. But like when we would go to a bar, we would hang out. Me and him were like one for one all night long, you know. And then he started developing cirrhosis of the liver,
Mm.
and he told me about it, and I'm like, well, if you're getting that, I'm probably not far behind you right now, you
Mhm.
know? So I just preemptively stopped. And then I got into like a mindset where I'm going to try to make an effort to do better things with my life. And I realized, sitting on the couch drinking scotch all night was not helping me out with things. So,
I don't remember specifically what made me quit drinking, but I remember one of the things. One of the things was that I no longer felt independent, that I was now depending on something in order to just get by in life, in order to deal with the stresses of life. But when I was drinking a lot, 5 years ago, my daughter was like 3 years old. And I was thinking the one night, like she was real sick for a while. And I was like, man, if she had to go to the hospital right now, I couldn't drive her. I just couldn't. Maybe the wife could. I don't know. Like, what happened if the wife was sick too? Like, what if something happened horrible in my house and I had to drive them both to the hospital? I'm like, sorry, we'll just lay on the front lawn until the ambulance gets here because I'm drunk. That was one of my.
do you feel like more motivated too for things like just in general? Because I remember like there, I would usually start like cracking something open shortly after work, and my wife would be like, "Can you do this, or do you mind picking the kid up?" And I'm like, it would like always be like an eye roll, like I
Mhm,
guess, you know what I mean? And that's how it always was. And
because it
now
gets in the way of your drinking
it
time.
does, you
Hmm.
know. But now it's like, yeah, whatever, I'll go do it. Not a big deal, you know. I noticed like my attitude toward things changed a lot.
Yeah.
Do you guys have Oh, by the way, we're the cooler heads, and we're talking about addiction today. If we didn't say that already,
Welcome. Yeah,
is
we
there
kind of
any?
skipped over that.
Yeah, right. Is there any addiction in your guys' family at all?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep, both sides, up and down.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's all with me. It's all alcohol on both sides. Both sides have alcohol problems. So I'm like, sweet.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Did you
Yeah.
have a hard
So,
time quitting though? Like when you stopped?
surprisingly, no. It was like just in my brain, I no longer made it an option. I quit New Year's Eve. That was my last drink. I got real drunk, ate a bunch of pizza, went to bed, and I knew that night was gonna be my last night of drinking. I had it all planned out. I'm like, I'm done. This is it. I'm gonna say goodbye to it. And the next day I quit cold turkey and never went back. Never had another drink. Haven't had another drink since.
Yeah, see, that was pretty much the same with me. It was just like and I told my wife I was done drinking. She's like, "There's no way. There's no way you're gonna stop drinking."
Did
And
you
Mhm.
actually go through and go to the liquor cabinet and start pouring all the shit down the drain?
no, I actually still have booze in my cabinet right now.
Really?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I never got rid of it. I tried giving it away and people just never took it, so it's still here.
Well, I mean, some people like they can't even be around it. You know what I mean? Like, my family, it's uh, pick something. Like, I
Meth.
mean, there's been addiction about everything, but like, when they have to quit, they have to quit and get away from everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People, everything.
It's kind of funny. Like I was able to quit. I quit smoking. I kind of tapered off my smoking over a 2 week period. Then I quit, and then I can be around it and like think about it. But I've made smoking and drinking really not an option for me because I know if I go back to it, I can't do it in moderation. And so I know that's not an option for me. But you know, um, kind of along those same lines, food has become a vice for me in some aspects, and that's something you obviously you can't abstain from food. You can't just quit food altogether. So you still need food to survive. So I'm constantly like dealing with like, oh man, I just want to eat an entire birthday cake like almost every day, but obviously I can't do that. But sometimes I do have birthday cake. So it's like tempting myself all the time, which I find much harder to deal with than like the being around booze. Because I can go to a party, everybody's drinking. Hey, you want a beer? I'm like, nah, man, I'm good. I'm good. But then like, hey, you want the piece of cake? I'm like, fuck yeah. Give me the whole cake, and like that's oddly enough, that's harder to deal with at times.
True.
And
I
that's
would
why I'm
say
getting
that
fat.
I noticed when I stopped drinking, all of a sudden I had like a crazy sweet tooth. Like I
Mm.
don't know where it came from because I liked sweets and stuff like that before, but now it's like, yeah, I want to go get some ice cream right now. And I never
Yeah, you do eat a lot of ice cream.
yeah, I do.
It's odd, like almost to the point you should just buy your own ice cream truck and park it out front.
He's got a Swanson's truck right in front of his
Yeah.
fucking house. What do I want today? Rudy Tooty, or I want
Like,
some
when-
sherbet?
I'm gonna go out to the driveway. You kids want something?
Oh
Yep.
man. No, I don't think I've ever been addicted to anything. I mean, besides food.
Besides your job.
Yeah, well, that's probably it. You know, actually, my wife said something to me yesterday. She's like, "Are you ever going to be happy?" I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Well, because like I think one of the deep rooted reasons why like I try so hard is you know I never had any affirmation from family.
Mhm.
So the affirmation then comes from service managers, it comes from bosses, it comes, you know what I mean? So that's my
That's a very good
affirmation.
observation.
And the other the other affirmation is the fact that like I never wanted to be like my parents, never wanted to be like my family. And so like I try very hard not to. And she's like, "Well, is it ever going to be good enough?" I'm like, I don't know. I mean, would you rather me go out and fucking drink? Would you rather me, you know, find find some cat on the
You know,
corner? You know what I mean? Like,
I had sort of a similar experience when I was like diving into myself, and you probably could relate to this too. It's like you don't want to be satisfied with where you're at because, like, at least for me, I didn't want to be like, I didn't ever want to give myself praise and be like, hey, you know what, Bill, you did a good job, because I feel like if I like do that, if I give myself praise and if I am satisfied with where I'm at, then all of a sudden I lose all motivation to keep going further, to keep learning, to keep trying to get better. Like that was my fear. I'll bet you probably can relate to that.
Isn't that like a basic human instinct though, like a survival instinct or something like that? Like what do you think would happen if people just were perfectly content all the time of where they're at? Like I don't think
I don't think there would be ADHD. I think honestly, I think ADHD. Why there's so many people that all of a sudden have sparked with ADHD. I think it's a fight or flight concept where where there's two things that you do when you're in an uncomfortable situation, right? You either leave the situation or you fight the situation, right? But if you're in a controlled environment like a classroom where you have to sit and do this fucking work, and then you get stressed about it, and then you fidget, and then you Twitter, and then all of a sudden now you have ADHD. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or is that just nonsensical ramblings?
Both, but it also makes sense. No, I see
try to
it.
be analytical.
You know, like I don't know. It's a weird dynamic, the human personality, and all the things we have to go through.
It is, and I think I mean, obviously the three of us are a little obsessed with work. It's an addiction as well too, and it might not be the work itself. It might be the idea of learning. It might be
it's where we find significance for ourselves. I feel
mine's the puzzle. Mine's the fucking puzzle, 100%. That is, and that if I do have an addiction, that is my addiction.
100% true. Which reminds me, completely off subject. So where is it? Oh, it's right up there next to my Spider-Man stuff. Right there, where my finger is. Right
N64.
there. Nope, right above the N64. Behind those, there's a wooden puzzle that I got for Christmas. It's called the Mayan calendar puzzle. And this is completely off the addiction subject, but since we're talking about puzzles, every year my dad gets me like one of these brain teaser puzzles. And this year he got me a difficulty level 5 Mayan calendar puzzle. And it's this rotating wheel of all these gears with numbers on them. And you have to align them so that each column of 12 equals 42. And it took me 2 days to figure it out, but I got it. Just throwing that out there. Just throwing that out there. I'm not saying I'm a prodigy, but I figured out some numbers. But no, you're right with the whole puzzle thing. Like when I think about a rooftop unit, that's what I like. I have in this box, there's something wrong, and I have to figure out what's wrong with it. It's a puzzle, like you said. Yeah, I like that.
It's a deep rooted thing from watching Sesame Street. One of these things is not like the other.
Oh, Sesame Street. That's a weird show, man. There was something about Sesame Street that just, I
Sorry,
don't know.
brought
I
up
don't know
bad
what it was
feelings.
about it. Yeah.
I
But
can't believe both of you guys just quit, like cold turkey, nothing, no weaning, no prepping, like
yeah, and
like
even like for me, I had no withdrawals. Like there's no physical ailments afterward. There was really nothing. I was like, I have drank heavily. I mean, I'm honest, heavily. Like I used to collect my whiskey bottles and I would have them lined all over the tops of my shelves. And I would look at it like back then when I was drinking, I'm like, fucking hey, dude, I'm awesome. Look at all these whiskey bottles. And then when I was quitting, I'm like, holy shit, what is wrong with me? But like, I was a heavy drinker and I just quit. And, I'm not trying to be braggadocious about it, but I was surprised I had no physical withdrawals. I mean, I was angry a little bit for a couple days, but
See, I had the opposite. I think that I felt like crap. Like I felt like crap the whole next day from drinking. Like I remember in the morning like putting my pants on and it was like just like aching, lifting my legs,
wow.
put my pants up and crap. And then like I describe it to people like when I quit drinking after about a few weeks or a month of quit drinking. Now it's like everyone says they put their pants on one leg at a time. Well, after I quit drinking, now I put my pants on two legs at a time. That's how I feel.
Yeah. That means you sit down and do it like an old man.
That's why
Like
it's not hurting anymore.
You like lay on your back like a turtle and like wiggle them on your fat legs. Oh, that's awesome.
I just can't wait till I'm older and I have the nurse put my pants on. That's gonna be fun.
See, I'm gonna get two of those. You know those grabber things you use for picking up trash when you don't want to bend over.
Yes.
That's what I'm gonna do right there. I'm gonna put my pants right on the floor like fireman style, and then just reach down with my two grabbers and pull them right up.
Oh, by then we'll have robots.
Or I'll figure out some sort of pulley system, I guess. Yeah, or a robot if I can afford it.
Robots. I'll fucking build one. I don't even care.
But like I think in this trade, in most blue collar trades, I'll say that a lot of people get into drinking and they find that it's an easy way to deal with stress. It's an easy way to deal with a lot of things. It's an easy way to quickly improve your life. Oh shit, day at work, I'm gonna go get some beers. And a lot of people just look at it as it's just normal. Like, wait, you don't drink? Well, that's fucking weird. Like, they look at you kind of funny, and as they're grossly 70 pounds overweight, their liver's dying, their kidneys are failing, and their marriages are falling apart, not necessarily just because of drinking, but overall their lifestyle probably sucks and drinking doesn't help. But it's I think it's a very popular thing in this industry.
It is. For a while it became like how I plan my day around things. You know what I mean? Like,
really,
you're going to a family party. Is there gonna be alcohol there? No. Okay, I'm gonna bring a flask.
Hold on, is Aunt Sally gonna be there? Well, I guess I gotta bring 2 flasks.
Are you going to you're going to a wedding? Is there an open bar? Yeah. Is it like top shelf stuff, or are we talking like
should I bring my own?
Yeah, like what are we gonna? Oh crap! Are you kidding me? I get to drink this freaking Red Label tonight. It's awful,
Oh, that's funny you should mention that. Yeah. When I used to, when I was drinking, when I would go up to see my parents for like the holidays, I would take those big 1 liter Diet Pepsi bottles, dump half of it out, fill it up with liquor. I'd get about 2-3 of those and I'd throw them in my bag, and I would just be sipping on those the entire time. I'm sure everybody could smell it, but
a 2 liter of pop.
1 liters.
1 liter.
Yeah, 2 liters. That's just no. You got a problem if you're drinking that much. Which I had a problem.
Problems are relative.
But the 2 liter was just too big to fit in my bag, really. That's why I had to stick with the 1 liters.
Want to be a little nonchalant about it.
Yeah. Let me just tip this back. And I was real stupid. I'm like, nobody's going to know that I'm drinking. But I mean, it was half full of liquor. Like, and I don't drink good liquor, or I didn't drink good liquor. It was cheap scotch. Like, I'm talking $13 for a half gallon of this Lauder scotch. Or I think that the fifths were like $5. I mean, it was actually the fifths that I drank were called 5-star, and it was just like it burned so bad. And for whatever reason, I liked it, and so you could smell it. But I was drinking. I'm like, nobody knows that I'm drinking. Nobody knows what I'm doing over here. Just drinking my pop, and little did I know, I bet they could smell it from across the room.
Yeah, well, I mean, now we all have families and stuff, so you have to be really concerned about what, the potential of what could happen, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we have a friend that, CPS came and got in trouble because she was somewhere where she wasn't supposed to be while she was drunk, and
Oh man.
they came to the house. She was gonna go to rehab, and it spiraled really, really quickly. Um, like really quickly. Like it's amazing, like how fast you can hit bottom just in the matter of a day or two.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
think it's amazing too, like how fast people can get sucked into things too. Like I'm kind of thankful I never really got pulled into drugs because I think that'd be a much harder thing to get over. But
probably.
people say booze is just the same. But for me, it was, it was a little bit different. But I don't know. The drugs, people just get pulled right into drugs. Their life goes to crap in a couple of years, and sometimes they don't have the wherewithal, the strength, or the resources needed to pull themselves out of it.
And sometimes you just in that instance, I try to be compassionate. There was a gentleman a couple years ago, um, where he had a problem, and he was all concerned because he didn't have any vacation. So my boss and I both gave him a week's vacation because he didn't have any to take off. He couldn't afford to take off to get clean, and he had a serious fucking problem. And so, like I said, we gave him the 2 weeks vacation, and he went off and tried to get clean. It didn't work out, but I mean, you try to be a human being,
Yeah.
you try to be compassionate, and you try to help out as much as you can, right?
Yeah, there's nothing worse than seeing somebody with potential and like trying to get clean and they just can't, whether it's drugs or booze or whatever. Like I haven't known too many people personally because I don't know a whole lot of people personally that have ruined their lives with stuff like this. But I was kind of associated with this one guy. He was a better friend of my brother-in-law, and he
Mhm.
was just a genius. Like he was going to college, like top level, like engineer sort of stuff, like just a super smart dude.
Mhm.
But he drank so much, and I think he's dead now, actually. But last I knew, he was in the hospital with I don't know, kidney failure or something like that. He needed a transplant. I don't think he ever got it. But I was just thinking, like, and he drank more than I did. Like he was just fifths of whiskey a day, and it was just hard on his body, obviously. And I remember thinking to myself, like, man, that's just sad. Like, dude had, from my perspective, had all the potential in the world, going to a top-notch college here in Michigan, and
Mhm.
just it's just gone now. Like everything has just gone down the drain just for drinking.
And addiction isn't just drugs and alcohol. I mean, there's other things I see in the chat. I mean, people are right. How many times you've been scrolling through TikTok for 2 hours and you're like,
Oh,
what time is it?
dude, that's
TikTok's
a
the worst.
good point. That's a good point, dude. I
And then,
find myself doing that.
yeah, I because man, I don't know what it is. Like I always have to be listening to something, or I get stressed out. Does that make any sense? Like
Yeah.
I like yeah, you guys. I won't be at the symposium, unfortunately. I got so much shit going on this year, but I'll be at AHR, and like even that, like I'm listening to music constantly, or listening to someone talking, because then I tune out all the rest of the noise that's out of ways. You know what I mean? And then it just is
Yeah,
less stressful for me.
the audio stimulation is just too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm at the point where I think I haven't been watching TikTok a lot recently, but like Facebook, I got to get off Facebook.
Yeah.
I enjoy Facebook. There's a lot of good on Facebook, but like I get sucked into everything on Facebook. I let it.
I think my problem is that I'm working on so much fucking technical stuff all the time, like during the day, and then finally I'm just like, I just need to listen to garbage, like just
Mhm.
absolute bullshit.
Yep.
I don't need to know what the signal is supposed to be for this. I don't need to know what the TD is supposed to be on this. I just need to listen to someone doing the fucking Wednesday dance. I don't know.
Yep. Yeah,
It's something else.
100%. Like it's like stupid brain time. Like your brain just needs time to just do stupid stuff. Like it's been working hard all day, and I just want to watch a girl in a bikini jiggle around a little bit, or the Wednesday dance, or like whatever the new TikTok trend is.
Yep. And actually I heard somebody talking about like when you have like a rich old man where he like marries his trophy 20-year-old wife and
Mhm.
she's like an airhead. and the dude is like super successful and smart and this and that. And they're like, why would he do that just for a trophy wife? And it's like,
Oh.
well, when she comes up to him at the end of the day, is like, should I wear the blue shirt or the red shirt? I really like the blue shirt, and like, you know, you would think like, how can you deal with that? Well, your brain needs to shut off, and like
I never
that's
thought about that.
it's shut off. You know,
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
like his dumb
Trophy
brain
wife
time.
is his brain shut off.
Yeah, that's like his TikTok, you know, like
Exactly.
interesting.
So Adam's got a trophy wife.
Me?
Yeah.
I've always had a trophy wife.
Should I wear the blue shirt to that? Or the red
She's
shirt?
gonna watch this and be like, tonight. She's like, "Do you want the blue shirt? Or do you want the
She
red
doesn't
shirt?"
watch any of my shit. She thinks we're
Yeah.
so stupid.
Same here. I have no fear that my wife is ever going to catch me saying anything bad on this.
I asked my wife the other day. I was like, "Have you watched any of our shit at all?" I was like, "There's like over 90 episodes of Advanced. You know, there's how many episodes of
No.
Glorads? I've been on so many different other fucking podcasts." And she's like, "Yes, I have." I'm like, "No, you fucking have. There's no way."
My grandma has watched more of my stuff than anybody alive.
She has. She's awesome.
Yeah, she's crazy. She's probably watching this right now.
What's your grandma's name?
Betty Burkhardt.
Okay.
If you're listening, Grandma, howdy there. I don't know if she knows about this one yet. I've mentioned it to her a couple times, but she's always in the HVC overtime chat. It's funny, and she's even like in the HVC overtime group. I honestly don't remember how she got into the group because it was like we were only supposed to let technicians in the group,
Yeah.
but now there's like grandmas and stuff in there. And
You know what? I'm a little disappointed recently because she used to comment on a lot of technical stuff, and it was like
Mhm.
funny because like something bad would happen. It would be like a crash and burn type scenario or something, and your grandma would comment and be like, "I just really appreciate you guys keeping up the good work." You know, it'd be like someone
Yeah.
fall through the ceiling. She's like, "Yeah, just keep up the great work."
You guys are doing a good job. Like, what are you talking about, Grandma? That's a hack job right there. You know, it was great.
I got
She had-
information from Grandma.
She had some of the greatest one-liners in there. The thing is, like, she was probably serious. I don't think she was being sarcastic. She's like, "Yeah, you guys are doing good." And you know, it's got two fat legs dangling out from the ceiling. Like, no, he's not doing good. He's not doing good at all, Grandma. You know.
So when did you guys start drinking?
Let's see.
That's a
I was
question.
born in 1982, so probably like 84, I'm guessing. 84, 85. When I was like 3, I think I started drinking.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like.
Adam?
I think I was like probably around 19 years old.
So wow, that seems late.
Yeah. Shit.
19. Like you were already basically an adult.
Yeah, I mean, I probably tried alcohol a couple times when I was 16, but like it was friends of mine who were like, here's some Jack Daniels. I'm like, it's nasty. And I just never had the need to go back to it until I was a little older.
I remember when I was like 6 or maybe 5, even like real young. Like one of my first memories, I remember one of my uncles gave me a sip of this whiskey called Maggie. I don't even know what it was or what it is, but he's like, "You want some of this?" You know, and like the other uncles probably thought it was hilarious, and I drank some, and I don't remember if I liked it or whatever, but I was probably like, "Oh yeah, that hits
Maggie
the
whiskey,
spot."
you're saying?
Yeah, that's what they called it, Maggie. I'll never forget it because it was like such a weird name for a whiskey or a bourbon or whatever it was. It was something. It was some sort of hard liquor.
Hellcat Maggie Irish whiskey.
That's funny because I do like Irish whiskey. Scotch is better though. The cheaper, the better. That's what I always say.
I don't know. I was the opposite. I spent so much money on scotch; it was ridiculous.
No. I was going for quantity.
The most
Quality
I
right
ever
out the window.
I was at the Seven Stars Lounge Casino with that friend of mine who had the fatty liver, whatever.
Mhm.
And we were sitting in there drinking, and I saw like legit 12, 13 feet up on the shelf
Ooh.
by itself was a bottle of Glenmorangie. I'm like, what is that? And the guy went out in the back and grabbed a ladder and pulled it down. Glenmorangie Pride, 1981. How much is that per glass? And he's like, $275.
Oh my
Per
god.
glass?
I'll take one.
Spell
Yeah.
that shit again. What was that?
Glenmorangie Pride, GLENMORANGE.
That's per $300 for a glass of whiskey.
1981.
Oh man, no.
The only
I'll
reason I
pay.
did it is because I was born in 1981. I'm like, it's a freaking omen. I have to do it. You know.
There's a
That's what
there's a
every.
there's a that one for $36, but I don't think it's the 1982.
No, it's probably not aged.
That's probably just their off the shelf. Go to Benny's and
$3,000 freaking dollars. Or
Nope.
no, that's 81.
Nope.
81.
I'll buy a bottle of 5-star whiskey. I think it's Canadian whiskey too. Look up 5-star Canadian whiskey, Brett, and it's got a real distinct cheap label. Like they made it on a weekend in like print shop or something at the UPS store and printed it off. But I'm pretty sure that's a Canadian whiskey.
Canadian Club. Seagram.
Oh yeah, that was another one. Canadian Club. Never really. Even Crown Royal was like a little too expensive for me.
I don't think they make 5-star whiskey anymore.
Oh, they probably just don't have a website. They can't afford it. I mean, they're selling fifth for like literally. I'm talking like $5 a fifth, dude. Like,
no, this is it. So
then the other one I drank was Louder Scotch.
Oh, it's Seagram's. It's Seagram's Canadian 5-star whiskey.
Well, that might be it. What's it look like?
Hold on, I'll show you in a second.
I don't remember it being Seagram's. That sounds a little too fancy.
This is the bottle.
Holy shit! $9,000.
Yeah.
God damn.
It's like a child.
Not ever. Not even if I won $1 million and was still an alcoholic. I don't think well, maybe I would.
I didn't buy the whole bottle. I had a glass.
But still, like,
and that was a good deal for a bar, being that it was $275 or whatever. Because, mind you, the Seven Stars Lounge is like a premier place where you can go if you gamble a lot, and they let you drink for free, and they let you drink top shelf alcohol.
Oh no, that's a different label.
All right, never mind.
Yeah, that one's too fancy for me. That's probably like a $12 bottle.
So your what do you call it? Your Blue Label.
Yeah.
Blue Label, like if you would be at the Seven Stars Lounge, Blue Label would be free.
Wait, what?
It would be
it's so cheap.
Blue Label is it's like $200 a bottle.
Yeah.
But I mean, in comparative, like
that's
it's free.
That's why I'm saying like that was a good deal, $275, because they let you drink for free because you're a high roller gambler there, you know.
Gotcha.
Oh,
No,
wow.
I never had blue before. I drink black when I do drink, and then I had red, which was atrocious. And then we went out to eat for our anniversary, for our 16th year anniversary. So I just I was spending money like I was Chris, and basically just buying whatever was on the menu and shit. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try the Blue Label. And I was like, I'm gonna have another glass. And then I got the bill, and it was like it's like $171 for 2 glasses of fucking whiskey.
Yeah.
Speaking about whiskey and stuff, one of the things that I guess the only thing that was kind of hard to deal with after I quit drinking was every year I go to Mexico, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Mexico is filled with alcoholics. I mean, they're all alcoholics, and it's all tequila usually. So I would go there, and we'd have these. The Mexican side of the family would have these fiestas, these big parties.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's like, I mean, they're real cordial people. They're like, here's a beer, here's some whiskey, and they'll just like dump it right in your glass. They won't even ask you. They're just like, here's some tequila and this and that. So I kind of had to like come up with a backstory, because explaining to them like, I kind of quit drinking, I want to have a better life, and I want to get in shape and have a be more available in my family. Like they're like, no, that's bullshit. You're stupid. They're not going to listen to that. So instead, I came up with like sort of a backstory where I more or less pinned it on my doctor, because I had kidney stones at the time. So I was like, that's a great story. Like, no, I can't drink. I got kidney stones. My liver's failing or whatever. And that's sort of my workaround to, to not explain why I was quitting drinking at the time. And now it's not a problem.
Do they drink just a lot more because they just don't drink the fucking water down there?
They drink a lot more Coke than they do water.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Coke is actually cheaper. That's true. It's cheaper than water in Mexico.
Wow.
Yeah.
They sell it in bags.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
They drink out of plastic bags.
Come on.
Yes, some of the stuff. A lot of the Coke, though, where I was, it was in glass bottles, but they did have like milk was in bags, Coke was in bags. Like it's kind of weird. Juice was in bags.
Well, I mean, juice boxes, Capri Suns, I get that, but
Yeah.
the milk and the Coke thing kind of just
The milk was weird. Yeah, the milk and the Coke is weird, you know. But they like their biggest thing is Corona. Like they drink Corona all day, like kind of like water, you know, like how you'd play a basketball game, like, oh, give me a Gatorade, you know, like they're gonna go work in the field and they're like, oh, give me a Corona, and they're just drinking Coronas like all day, like, you know, like 40s.
Do they use limes like we do here?
Usually only at like parties, at social gatherings, they'll, you know,
they only
have some
break
limes out.
they only break the limes out at night.
Yeah,
During the
yep.
day.
During the day, it's just like,
back.
I don't have time for that, you know. I've been drinking vodka this whole time. You guys don't even know it.
I threw some Jaeger in this one.
Yeah. Now, Adam, have you ever? Has there ever been a time where, like, man, you know, I should just go back to drinking? Like, legit, actually give it some thought.
I mean, I've had a couple days recently where it's like booze would taste really good right now. You know, like I'd feel much better, but I've been fine. Like that's one of the things I know you said you had no problem. I understand some people like whatever. I think I had an actual issue with drinking. And I know they say alcoholism is a disease and you can't just stop. But like I drink a lot too. Like I don't, you know, there's times where I wouldn't drink a whole fifth, but like on the overtime show on a Friday, it would be like 3/4 of a bottle between the hour before we started and the hour after we ended, like in a 3-hour span.
It's a lot.
It would be serious shit, you know what I mean? And I did not feel good. So maybe I don't have maybe the thing is I don't want to downgrade anyone's alcoholism or addiction problems or whatever, but I kind of think I did have a problem. And if I could stop, I kind of feel like anyone could stop. That's I might be wrong, but yeah.
See, one thing that I think like, you know, people that do the 12-step program, which I think is great, you know, because they get off of their addiction. But do you guys both feel that it's just changing one addiction for another?
In some aspects, yeah.
Because you'll have some cats that quit drinking or quit drugs, right? And they become a super fucking workout nut, right? Or they become a Bible banger, or you know what I mean? They take whatever they're delving into and basically just that's their new addiction rather than alcohol. And maybe that's why I've never like truly had an addiction, because for the past 20 years
you've been addicted to learning and to work.
So yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean?
Mine, I've sort of drifted into like food became a sort of a vice for a while, and but then that led to me like I'm hyper focused on my diet and exercising, and so I've sort of become, I don't know if I want to say addicted to, but I've been more motivated or geared towards self-improvement since then. So that's sort of an addiction. But you know, if we're speaking like simple addictions, like I feel like food became my vice after that, where food became my way of comforting myself physically. It was something that I could consume and I could change the way I felt almost immediately.
Can I tell you, I'm not going to name names, but I had a guy working for me, kind of like an apprentice, you know, and this is like one of the first it wasn't, he probably worked for me for a good 6 months at this point, but this was one of the first times we ever rode together. Like usually I would ride and these other two guys would ride together, you know, but we were driving around. It was weird conversations, and then he started talking about his like this and that and whatever his beliefs and everything else, and then he's like, well, I used to be addicted to porn and masturbation. And I'm like, the fuck? Where's this? I don't even know you that well. Like, where's this conversation going?
Wow.
So, you know, I mean, if it gets lonely at noon, what are you up to? You know what I mean? I'm just trying to, you know, get my fix, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that too. Like a lot of people addicted to porn, which I guess I can see it. I never really got into that too much, but I mean, it's widely available. It's free, you know.
For what? 2 minutes, and then you know you're good for half the day, and then.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm more of like a 6-minute guy. So.
No, not anymore.
Yeah.
So think about we're talking about alcohol, right? Think about how relatable it is. How drunk do you get when you're an alcoholic and you're drinking versus when you're in a really, 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 really dry spell and drinking?
I mean, I've always pretty much been in a dry spell perpetually my entire life.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been married almost 20 years, so yeah, I mean, once a month is pretty good, right? Am I right?
You get it once a month.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm gonna start doing my wife's Christmas presents based off of how many times I have sex a year, and then
oh,
basically she'll get a chicken sandwich at the end of the year.
does it say like you put $1 in a jar every time?
Yeah,
Yeah. You better hope she never listens to this.
she
Or next
does.
year.
She listens to all my stuff.
Yeah.
You gotta give the information on the card when you give her the present too. Like this gift was given.
Mm-hmm.
You have a $2 budget for every time I got laid this year.
Mm-hmm. Like, here is your
Here's your-
Chick-fil-A sandwich.
And I got you an extra. I got you a coupon for a buy one get one free.
There you go. Number 5 combo. Man, that's sad. You have a sad life sometimes.
I mean, I think we all do. Let's be honest.
That's true. We all do. That's why we're here. And I think anybody listening, they in some way, shape, or form can relate to a little bit of sadness in their life. And that's what we're here to do. Here to talk about it and expose it, and then it won't be so scary. It's easier to deal with stuff when it's in the wide open.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I mean, if you don't talk about it, I think that's one thing why there's so much addiction and drug abuse in this trade, because they don't talk about anything, right?
Nope.
If they don't talk about anything,
be a man. You don't talk about your feelings. Be a man. You drink beer and you work hard and go home and you be a man.
Yeah, you stuff it down inside until it turns into cardiac arrest by the time you're 45.
See, that's something that I had an issue with, because my dad was never, my mom and dad got divorced when I was going into 3rd grade. My dad was basically not around, period, because he did HVAC and he lived in a different area. So my grandpa, who was a World War II vet, raised me.
Mhm.
So like when my boys started getting older and whatever, not older, but when they were younger kids, like, I don't know, whatever, they would fall down, somebody would start crying or whatever. And I would go back to, in my head, you rewind to what my grandpa used to say to me. And it would be like, what are you, a girl? Stop crying. And my wife would like lose her shit. She's like, you can't say that. You're going to give them a complex or whatever,
Like,
and
maybe they want to be a girl. Maybe that's how they identify now.
So, but like, yeah, I've noticed myself trying to stop and revert some of the crap that I've gone through in life. And I'm not, whatever. I mean, let's be honest. Like, my grandpa was that way because he had to be that way. He was as tough as nails and he went through a period that whatever, but I guess I don't have to be that way. And my kids definitely don't, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's a different sort of generation. And I think this generation, we're just figuring out how to deal with stuff. And that mentality doesn't necessarily work in today's day and age. And
So-
I don't know, the way I look at it is like, I think it takes a certain amount of character, integrity, and strength to actually just talk about how you feel and all this weird inner shit we go through.
So my oldest daughter has been going to counseling since she got out of White Horse Ranch. She still has, I forget how long it's been since she's been out, but she still has not pulled her hair once.
Nice.
So she has found a way of coping. And I've also been picking on all my kids a lot because it's now my new favorite thing. And so yesterday, she texted me because I was supposed to pick her up for counseling after school. So instead of texting her back, yes, I'm coming to pick you up, I texted her back a message. This is message number 8675309. Your message has not been received. If you feel that you've received this message in error, please contact Verizon Wireless. And then about 10 minutes later, she texts my work phone. She's like, Dad, did you get your new phone? Because I was talking about getting a new phone. She's like, I got this weird message. And I texted her the same fucking thing. And she started freaking out. And I was like,
Nice.
So like the other night, she busted her ankle. She went to go take out the trash in high heel sneakers. And then we talked about the utility of wearing the correct sneakers when you go and do shit. And we were in,
This is why chicks can't be in HVAC. Just saying.
oh come on.
That's
But
a
we were
broad statement. I take that back.
Yeah, you better. Jesse's on here. But we were sitting in the parking lot of the ER, and I was like, I just want to make sure, like, you enjoy me fucking with you all the time, right? Because I don't want you to go back and in 10 years and be blaming me for all your problems. At the fact that you fucked with me so bad that now I'm screwed up, and now I have to go to counseling till I'm 40.
hmm
Yep.
As I'm listening to my daughter in the other room cry and argue with my wife about picking up her clothes in her room, and she's 8. Man,
So one of the things you can do is you make it habit. So I started with my son about a half a year ago. So you make it habit. So whenever I take him up to bed, you put the hamper in the room, and you're up there getting ready with the kid, and the kid has to put his stuff in the hamper once he takes the stuff off.
hmm
That seems to work pretty good because then he's actually up on it. He's real excited, and
see, I'm kind of OCD. I've lightened up over the years, but I used to be real OCD about being organized, putting stuff away, and I'm sort of like, I get it, it's her room. I want her to have a safe space. I want her to have a place where she can be comfortable. So I don't try to, rule over her room like a communist, right? But
Mhm.
I want it to be organized to an extent. Like there's a moderate level of organization that I feel is acceptable.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, you can have your toys out on the dresser or whatever, but when you have everything on the floor and I can't walk and I can't see the floor anymore, let's get this stuff picked up. And by the time it reaches that point, to try to get her to pick everything up at that point, it's like
It's too overwhelming.
I would rather bite my own finger off, honestly. Like my pinky finger right at the knuckle, I would rather bite that off.
It becomes too overwhelming, and they get very upset very, very quickly. And then
hmm
at that point, it's too late, and then you have to help them do everything because
And see,
it's too much all at once.
and in that moment, not only do I think about like, man, I wish I just go downstairs and start drinking again, but also I'm like, I'm trying to teach them a lesson, and I try to like explain, like, if you wouldn't have let it get to this point, we wouldn't be here right now. If we would just pick it up when we were done with it, put away, you know, put this away, get something else out, sort of thing. I try to turn it into a learning experience, but usually backfires.
That's one thing that I get really pissed off about, and that's one thing like I hold inside because oh God forbid if I say anything about the house being a mess,
Mm.
then I'm an asshole, and then it turns into an argument. So I keep that shit inside, and I just keep cleaning.
Yeah, I never say anything about the house being a mess because I'm usually the one that kind of makes it a mess. Like I try to pick up after myself, but my wife is usually she's like the house cleaner. Like she keeps everything nice and tidy and tight around here. Like I it's amazing. She does a great job with it.
See, my wife has ADHD, and I think that's one of the reasons why things get the way they do. But like, what was she doing the other day? She moved a bunch of stuff the other day, and it like her famous thing when she's like cleaning or organizing something is she puts it in bags or boxes and it's either goes to the garage or the basement, and that's where it goes. And I'm like, I brought that up to her the other day. I'm like, yeah, that's where all of our shit goes to die is the garage or the basement.
God
Man.
damn.
What the hell? Do you live in John Israel's house?
Yeah. You need some storage totes in your back in the backdrop there.
That's the wife's side of the office.
Oh, you guys share an
man.
office.
Yeah,
That's
so
horrible.
Kind
yeah,
of romantic.
I get anxiety over it. So that's why I keep staring at the screen.
Why do you share an office? She needs an office.
She was doing a lot of stuff from home before, working from home before.
And she helps you manage your other social media aspects too, right?
She does billing.
See? So that explains the mess.
Those boxes are a lot of emails going out.
Yeah, that's her inbox, right?
No, I was trying to be relatable with Adam's problem because my wife has the same problem where like she'll start cleaning shit up and then just put all that shit that she just cleaned up in a box, and then it sits in the box.
Yeah,
I would say probably like 3 to 4 times a year, I'll go down to the basement where I have all these storage shelves set up with my storage totes and everything, and I'll just look at them. I'm like, do we need all this? And then I'll just start going through stuff and donating stuff. If I haven't used it in 8, 9, 10 months or whatever, donate it. You know,
I just have to gently, when she's not around, just start just throwing shit out. I'm like, okay, birth certificate, need to keep that. And electric bill, it's paid. All right, throw that out.
Mhm.
See, Jessica just said something. Who the hell's calling me? Spam. I like how it says spam now, so I can just hit the asshole button.
Delete it
But
without-
Jessica was saying one of her favorite sayings from school work is it's easier to stay caught up than it is to catch up. And that's one of the things that I say to my wife too is she puts everything off until it's like an emergency, until it's like needs to happen, where it's like, and then then it's a stressor on everyone, and then it's an argument, right?
Mhm.
We had a cleaning lady come, and like now that I spend more time at home, every single time the cleaning lady would come, that day the cleaning lady would come, she would be in total disarray, and then she'd be yelling and stressing the whole fucking time. And so that means, okay, let me stop what I'm doing, let me get up and help you clean up so you're not so fucking stressed.
Yep, I've been there. Never had a cleaning lady though. I married my cleaning lady. We'll just say that. But anyway, we kind of got off subject here. Let's talk more about drugs and booze and all that fun stuff.
Okay.
You know, so if let's say you're a guy who's just drinking it up right now, and maybe you have a slight inclination that you have a problem. Like, what is your advice to that guy? Like, what would you tell that guy? Any advice? Like, hey, like, I don't think it's a good idea to tell him, like, hey, you have a problem. You should probably quit drinking, because that never worked for me. It was until I internalized it and realized it myself.
I think that's what has to happen. I think self-realization has to happen. I don't, because a lot of times, think about it. If someone told you, or you, Adam, if you were drinking too much, what the fuck do you know? You'd start getting really, really defensive. You know what I mean? So I
'Cause
think
I had that conversation a few times.
So my cousin is a recovering heroin addict, and she blames it on her mom shooting herself, and she was young. She was 2. I mean, that's still fucking horrific, but I mean, still, like, you started blaming that shit when you got 18, and then and like you try to have conversations with them, like, you're a smart person, you can do, you know what I mean? And it doesn't matter, because an addict will lie through their fucking teeth. It does not matter if someone has a problem, if they don't think they have a problem, or they don't want you to think they have a problem, they will lie all the time. And that's why, like, that's one of the reasons why I don't talk to my father. That's one thing that I lose my shit on with my kids, if they fucking lie to me.
Does your dad have like a substance problem?
Not anymore.
No?
No, I mean, he
It's
hasn't
just
worked.
still, it's like not a waste, or it's a waste of time essentially to talk to him.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Yeah.
well, I'm uppity now. I'm uppity because I've done something with my life, and so at one point in my life, I was going to have him out, because I'm his only kid, and my 3 kids are his only grandkids, and so I was going to fly him out. And he's like, "Well, if I got to take my knife off my belt, I ain't getting on no fucking airplane." I'm like, "Okay." You have a bus option. And then after that, I was like, you really don't give a shit enough to come see your kid, your only kid, or grandkid. So I had, at one point, I hadn't talked to him for about 4 years or 5 years, but he just recently called out of the blue. Like, he texted me and I didn't respond. So he thought I didn't get it, or thought my number had changed. So he called me up. I was like, "What do you want?" He's like, "Your grandmother had a heart attack." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah, grandmas
your
do that
message.
sometimes. Tell her to build a bridge, get over it.
So I don't talk to him. Like, he had a major problem. Like, he probably paid for certain sections of Pablo Escobar's house. He had stock in Budweiser. I found the dude on the basement floor with his fucking wrist cut open when I was younger. He had some serious fucking problems, and he's bipolar.
Wow.
But I just, why, if my kids are doing as good as what they are, why should I introduce them to that shit? Because I don't
Yeah,
need
100%.
because so that's one of the things like, and I know this doesn't really have anything to do with addiction. It kind of does, but like I don't want kids are very delicate now, and this may be shielding my kids from shit, but like I don't want they don't need to know all that horrific shit because a lot of times people in general will take their family situation and basically be like, this is the reason why they'll put themselves on the fucking cross and they'll be like, this is the reason why I'm fucked up. My family was fucked up, so I'm destined to be fucked up. And I
Mhm.
don't want that for them. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
broke that fucking cycle. You know what I mean?
expose them to more negativity and
Yeah, why? Why even fucking do it? So like, okay, fine. You don't want to get on our plane, fuck you. So I just I don't bother with talking to anyone because it's always and even when I talk to him, like it's always something negative. Like
mhm.
I went back home a couple times since I moved away, and like I'll be there for about a week. And after day 3, I'm like, I'm itching just to go the fuck home. The only one that I don't do that with is my cousin Travis, and because he did good for himself. It's not the conversation where it's like, oh well, the factory closed and
Yeah, the
grandma
sort of like the victim mentality, like, "Oh, I
fuck
couldn't do this," and
fuck, and they
dude,
blame everything on that.
that's the
Sorry.
same reason I quit talking to my biological family and that whole side of my family. I haven't talked to them in years, 5, 6, 7 years, and, I came to the realization that they had that certain same sort of mentality. It was all just poor me, and I never, I could never provide for you kids when you were younger because of this and this and this. I'm like, you could have tried harder. You could have got a different job. You could have learned a new skill. Like all this stuff that I have now realized. Like there's so many more options. You just gave up and you found an easy way out. And now you're the victim of all these circumstances. Like, life happened to you instead. Like for me, life's happening for me. Like fucking get over it. And I came to the realization, like, I have a short time on this earth, and I don't need to spend my time with people that aren't going to make my life better. If you're not going to improve my life, I don't need to surround myself with you. It's simple.
See, you asked like what you would say to somebody that was on the edge or wanting to quit drinking, and like to kind of tie that in what you just said, Bill. Like, you can let life happen to you, and you could be you could be the outcome of all the bad shit that happens, right?
Mhm.
Or like that's kind of where I think I was at, is that I was just like taking everything and hey, I'm not super happy. I'm letting things happen and this and that. And like now in the last 2 years, things have been changing. I've been like um going on a spree of learning and reading books and trying to better myself. And now like I'm seeing like my life is starting to change and I'm on a different level and a different point. And if you would have said, hey, this is where you're gonna be at 5 years from now, and I'm not anywhere great, but I'm on my way to somewhere great,
Mhm. Because
and
now you're steering the boat.
exactly.
Mhm.
So I
It's
think
happening
that like
for you.
if you have if you have a dream and you're wondering like why should I do this? My life's kind of sucks. I'm just content with drinking and everything else. Your dream doesn't have to be your dream. It can be your reality. You could easily make it your reality. You'll figure it out.
Mhm. I 100% agree. Well, on that note, I think that's a good spot to call it a wrap for the day. What do you think?
For sure. Um, guys, I'll be at DFW Airport probably for about 12 hours tomorrow.
More like
Going
12 days.
going no, because I have to make it to Cali. I'll be
I
giving
mean,
away
you
uh
have to, but
I'll be giving away the giver sheets for True Tech Tools that Chris was so gracious to give me. So I'll put a live event up for tomorrow, probably around 10 or 11 o'clock, right? Right before I'm supposedly supposed to board. Um, so I will be giving those away tomorrow. Man, thanks for listening.
yeah, it's a good time.
See you guys.
See ya.